The worn sneakers caught my eye first. Then the faded Save Mart uniform, the green polo shirt with the name tag barely hanging on by a single pin. The way my daughter Alice kept her head down, her fingers moving slowly across the table, separating pennies from nickels from dimes, counting coins, to buy a small coffee. I stood frozen in the middle of Westfield Mall's food court, my purse clutched against my chest, watching a woman I almost didn't recognize. This couldn't be my Alice. My Alice wore scrubs from Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. My Alice drove a brand new Toyota Highlander, the one I'd helped her buy just 2 years ago. My Alice was a registered nurse in the emergency department, making $85,000 a year, married to a nice accountant named William, living in a charming colonial house on Maple Street with my 4-year-old granddaughter Lily. This woman, this thin, exhausted, trembling woman pushing coins around a food court table at 2:30 on a Wednesday afternoon, this couldn't be her. But it was. Alice! I walked toward her table, my heart hammering against my ribs. At 62 years old, I thought I'd felt every kind of fear there was. I'd buried my husband Robert 3 years ago, watched him collapse in our kitchen from a massive heart attack, held his hand while we waited for the ambulance that came too late. I thought that was the worst fear I'd ever know. I was wrong. Sweetheart, I stopped at her table. What are you doing here? Where's Lily? Alice's head snapped up, and I saw it, that flash of pure terror in her eyes there, and gone in half a second before she forced a smile that didn't reach anywhere near her eyes. Mom, hi, what are you? I didn't expect. I just finished my checkup at Dr. Patterson's office. I slid into the seat across from her without waiting for an invitation. Now answer my question. Where is my granddaughter? She's with William and Barbara. Alice's eyes darted toward the mall entrance, then back to me. They took her to the park. On your day off, why aren't you with them? I had errands. Errands. I looked pointedly at the small pile of coins on the table. Alice, where's your car? Her smile faltered. William's been using it. His truck broke down last month and... For a month you've been without a car for a month. I kept my voice steady, but my hands were shaking under the table. How have you been getting around? The bus. It's really not a big deal, Mom. Saves on gas. I reached across the table and grabbed her wrist. Her bones felt like a bird's. Thin, fragile, wrong. Alice Marie Mitchell. I used her maiden name deliberately. Look at me. She did. And up close it was even worse than I'd feared. The dark circles under her eyes could have been drawn with charcoal. Her cheekbones jutted out sharply. She'd lost at least 15 pounds since I'd seen her 2 months ago at Lily's dance recital. Her hair, once thick and shiny, was pulled back in a greasy ponytail, and her hand, still trapped under mine, was ice cold despite the warm November California sun streaming through the skylights. Tell me what's happening. Nothing's happening. She tried to pull away. Everything's fine. I really need to go. I have to catch the 3:15 bus. I'll drive you. No. The word exploded out of her, sharp and panicked. Then softer. No, Mom, please. I'm fine. I need to go. She stood up. I stood up with her. Then I'm coming with you. Mom? Alice. I was a real estate attorney for 33 years. I've deposed witnesses, cross-examined hostile defendants, and negotiated with people who made a career out of lying. I stepped closer to her, lowering my voice. Do you really think I can't tell when my own daughter is in trouble? Her lower lip trembled. Sit down, I said, gentler now. Let me buy you some lunch. Real food. When's the last time you had a proper meal? She didn't answer, but she sat. I went to the Chinese place and ordered everything: orange chicken beef and broccoli fried rice, egg rolls, lo mein. Enough food for 4 people. When I came back, Alice was staring at her phone, her leg bouncing anxiously under the table. He's tracking you, isn't he? I set the tray down. William? She didn't deny it. She just picked up the chopsticks and started eating. And the way she ate, God, the way she ate. Fast and desperate, barely chewing like a starving animal who expected someone to snatch the food away at any moment. I'd seen that kind of eating before, in a documentary about women escaping abusive relationships. Alice! I pushed the container of lo mein toward her. Please, talk to me. I can't. Why not? Because if I tell you, it'll make everything worse. Tears spilled down her cheeks, dripping onto the food court table. Please, Mom, just let it go. Let what go? She wiped her face with a paper napkin, her hands shaking. All of it. William and Barbara, they control everything now. The house, the car, my credit cards, my bank accounts. Everything. Her voice dropped to a whisper. And if I don't do exactly what they say, if I try to leave or tell anyone, they said they'll take Lily away from me. Forever. The noise of the food court, the screaming toddlers, the teenagers laughing, the muzak playing over the speakers, it all faded into static. How? My voice came out hoarse. How did this happen? The story came out in fragments, broken pieces that I had to assemble like a shattered mirror. 6 months ago, William lost his job. He told Alice it was corporate downsizing, the company was cutting staff. His mother Barbara suggested they move in with her temporarily. Just until William finds something new, she'd said. It'll save you money. Alice didn't want to go. She liked their house on Maple Street, the one I'd helped them buy, the one I'd given them $50,000 toward as a wedding gift. But William begged. Barbara insisted. And Alice, trying to be a good wife, agreed. The day after they moved out, the locks on the Maple Street house were changed. Barbara said the house was always in William's name, only Alice said, her voice flat with exhaustion. She said my name was never on the deed. I tried to show her the paperwork, but she said those were copies, not originals. She said I must have misunderstood. I felt my jaw tighten. I'd personally reviewed those documents before the closing. Alice's name was on that deed. I was certain of it. Then William needed my car. Just for job interviews, he said. That was 4 months ago. I haven't driven it since. And your job at the hospital? Alice laughed, a horrible, hollow sound. Barbara convinced me to quit. She said Lily needed me at home, that I was being selfish, that a good mother wouldn't choose her career over her child. She stabbed at a piece of orange chicken. After I quit, I tried to go back, but they'd already filled my position. Hospitals don't hold jobs for people who walk away. So you're working at Save Mart. Part-time, 20 hours a week. It's all I could get. She pushed the food around her plate. Not that it matters. I never see any of that money. What do you mean? William had me sign some papers. He said it was for a joint account so we could manage our finances together as a family. She finally looked up at me, and the shame in her eyes broke my heart. I didn't read them carefully, Mom. I trusted him. I trusted her. And now I can't access any of my accounts. Everything I earn goes directly to them. Barbara gives me $20 a week for expenses. That's it. $20. It's enough for bus fare, mostly. I thought about the coins she'd been counting. The small coffee she couldn't quite afford. Alice, have you talked to the police? I tried. Another bitter laugh. I went to the station 3 weeks ago. Told them everything. The officer was nice enough, but he said it was a civil matter, not criminal. Because William is my husband and I signed those papers voluntarily, there's nothing illegal about him having access to my money. She shrugged a defeated gesture. He told me to get a lawyer, but lawyers cost money, and I don't have any. I have money? Mom, no. You can't get involved. If Barbara finds out, where are you living, Alice? She went quiet. You said you moved in with Barbara, but you're not living in her house, are you? Still quiet. Alice, where do you sleep at night? Her voice, when it finally came, was barely a whisper. The garage. I felt the world tilt sideways. Barbara said it was temporary, until I proved I could be responsible. Alice wouldn't meet my eyes. She gave me an air mattress, a space heater. There's a bathroom in the house I can use, but only at certain times. She swallowed hard. Lily's room is upstairs. I can hear her sometimes at night crying for me, but I'm not allowed up there unless Barbara says so. I couldn't speak. I couldn't breathe. My daughter, my brilliant, compassionate, hard-working daughter who had graduated nursing school with honors, who had saved lives in the emergency room, who had married William Crawford because she believed he was a good man from a good family, sleeping in a garage, while her 4-year-old daughter cried for her upstairs. I can't lose her, Mom. Alice grabbed my hands across the table, her grip desperate. Lily is everything to me, and Barbara keeps saying, she keeps reminding me that she has a lawyer ready, that if I try to leave, if I try to take Lily, she'll prove I'm an unfit mother. She has photos of the garage where I sleep. She has records of every shift I've worked. She'll tell the court I chose to live in a garage, that I prioritized my job over my child. Alice's voice cracked. And who would the court believe, a rich widow with a nice house and a good lawyer? Or me? I pulled my hands free and stood up. Mom, where are you going? I'm going to fix this. You can't. You don't understand. No. I leaned down, cupping her face in my hands the way I used to when she was small and frightened of thunderstorms. You don't understand. I was a fraud attorney for 33 years. I have seen every dirty trick, every forged signature, every illegal scheme that greedy people use to steal what doesn't belong to them. And what Barbara and William are doing to you, it's not just cruel, Alice. It's criminal. But give me 2 weeks. I pressed my forehead against hers. Go home. Act normal. Don't let them know we talked. Can you do that? Mom, I'm scared. I know, baby. I know. I kissed her forehead. But I promise you on your father's grave I will get you and Lily out of this. Do you trust me? She nodded, tears streaming down her face. Then go catch your bus and wait for my call. That night I sat in Robert's old reading chair, staring at his photograph on the mantel. They're hurting our girl, Robert, I whispered into the darkness. They're hurting her, and they think they're going to get away with it. I picked up my phone and made 3 calls. The first to Margaret Thompson, my former paralegal now working at a top family law firm. The second to David Wilson, an old colleague turned private investigator. The third to First National Bank. Then I got in my car and drove to Maple Street. The for rent sign in the front yard glowed under the streetlight. I took photographs. Then I drove to Barbara Crawford's neighborhood, the one with the manicured lawns and the expensive cars in every driveway. I parked down the street from her house, and I waited. At 8:15 p.m., the garage door opened. There was my daughter, sitting alone on an air mattress, eating a sandwich out of a paper bag, in a cold cement garage, while the lights of the main house blazed warm and bright behind her. I filmed everything, and I made myself a promise. Barbara Crawford had no idea who she was dealing with, but she was about to find out. The next 48 hours changed everything I thought I knew about my son-in-law. Margaret Thompson called me on Thursday morning, her voice tight with controlled anger. Claire, you need to sit down for this. I was already sitting at my kitchen table, surrounded by legal pads covered in notes, empty coffee cups, and printouts from public property records. I hadn't slept more than 3 hours since I'd watched my daughter eat a sandwich alone in that garage. Tell me. The house on Maple Street. I pulled the original deed from the county recorder's office. Margaret paused. Alice's name is on it. Clear as day. Joint tenancy with right of survivorship, both Alice Mitchell Crawford and William Crawford. I knew it. I reviewed those documents myself before the closing. There's more. Someone filed an amended deed 6 months ago. It removes Alice's name entirely and lists William as the sole owner. My hand tightened around the phone. That's impossible. Alice would have had to sign. She did sign, or at least there's a signature that's supposed to be hers. Margaret's voice dropped. Claire, I had a handwriting expert take a preliminary look. Off the record. He says the signature is inconsistent with Alice's known samples. The pressure points are wrong. The letter formations don't match. It's forged. Almost certainly. And that's not all. William has been collecting rent on that property for 5 months. $3,800 a month. All of it going into an account solely in his name. I did the math quickly. $19,000. Stolen from my daughter through a forged document. Margaret, that's criminal fraud. Yes, it is. And it gets worse. My stomach dropped. How can it possibly get worse? I'll let David tell you. He's been doing surveillance for 2 days now. He found something significant. David Wilson called me an hour later. In 30 years of friendship, I'd never heard David sound shaken. He was a former Marine, a man who'd seen combat, who'd spent 2 decades investigating the worst of human behavior. Nothing rattled him. Until now. Claire, I've been following William Crawford since Tuesday night. He told his wife and mother he was going to job interviews. He wasn't. Where was he going? Koreatown. There's a building on Western Avenue, looks like a restaurant from the outside, but there's a back room. Illegal gambling operation. High-stakes poker sports betting the works. I closed my eyes. How much? I've got a source inside. Says William Crawford has been a regular for over 2 years. He's in deep, Claire. Really deep. David paused. My source estimates his current debt at around $80,000. $80,000. That's why he lost his job, I said slowly, the pieces clicking into place. He wasn't laid off. He was fired. Correct. I contacted a former employee at his company off the record. William was terminated for using company equipment to access online gambling sites during work hours. They caught him placing bets from his office computer. I thought about my daughter counting coins for coffee. My daughter sleeping on an air mattress in a garage. My daughter signing papers she didn't understand because she trusted her husband. He's not just controlling her, I said. He's using her. Everything Alice earns the rent money from the house, it's all going to pay his gambling debts. That's what it looks like. And Barbara, what's her role in this? That's where it gets complicated. David's voice hardened. I managed to get access to some documents from Barbara Crawford's home. Don't ask me how you don't want to know. But Claire, you need to see these. He sent the files to my email. I opened them. And for the first time since Robert died, I felt genuine fear. The first document was a 50-page dossier on Alice. Photographs of her sleeping in the garage taken by Barbara, time-stamped and dated. A handwritten journal documenting Alice's supposed failures as a mother left Lily crying for 20 minutes while she was on her phone. Forgot to pack Lily's lunch for school. Came home late from work again. Every entry was fabricated or wildly exaggerated. I knew my daughter. I knew how much she loved Lily. The second document was a letter from Thomas Reed, a family law attorney known in legal circles for his brutal take-no-prisoners approach to custody battles. The letter outlined a strategy if Alice ever tried to leave or fight for custody. They would use this dossier to prove she was an unfit mother. They would argue that Alice had voluntarily chosen to live in the garage. They would paint her as mentally unstable, financially irresponsible, neglectful. But it was the third document that stopped my heart. A last will and testament. In Alice's name, leaving all her assets, including her share of any marital property, to William Crawford. In the event of her death, I read it 3 times hoping I was misunderstanding, hoping it was something innocent. But the signature at the bottom was unmistakably forged the same inconsistent handwriting as the amended deed. And the date was recent. 3 months ago. Barbara Crawford wasn't just trying to control my daughter. She was preparing for a future where Alice didn't exist. I called Catherine Park, the family law attorney Margaret had recommended, and told her everything. Mrs. Mitchell, Catherine said when I finished, in 20 years of practice, I've seen a lot of ugly custody cases. But this is something else entirely. This isn't just financial abuse or coercive control. This is premeditated, I finished. They're building a case to destroy her. And that will suggest they're planning for something worse than divorce. Catherine's voice was grim. We need to move fast. I can file for an emergency protective order and temporary custody tomorrow. With the evidence you have the forged signatures, the financial fraud, the living conditions, any judge will grant it. How fast can we get Alice and Lily out of that house? If we file tomorrow morning, we could have a hearing by Friday. Maybe sooner if I can convince the judge this is urgent. It's urgent. I'm certain of it. Then start praying, Mrs. Mitchell. Because we're going to war. I couldn't wait until Friday. Something in my gut, the same instinct that had served me through 3 decades of legal battles, told me that Alice and Lily were in immediate danger. Barbara had to know that her scheme was fragile. If she suspected anyone was investigating, if she felt her control slipping. I called Alice that night. Mom, her voice was a whisper. I can't talk long. Barbara checks my phone. I know, sweetheart, I'll be quick. Has anything changed? Is Barbara acting differently? A pause. She's been strange, agitated. She had a long phone call with someone today. I think it was her lawyer. And she's been packing some of Lily's things. She said something about visiting her sister in Arizona. My blood ran cold. When she mentioned this weekend, Mom, what's going on? Alice, listen to me very carefully. Do not let them take Lily anywhere. Do you understand? If they try to leave with her, call me immediately. Call 911. Do whatever you have to do. Mom, you're scaring me. Good. You should be scared. But I promise you help is coming. Just hold on a little longer. I hung up and called Catherine. They're planning to run, I said. Barbara has a sister in Arizona. She's going to take Lily across state lines. If she does that before we have a custody order, it becomes a jurisdictional nightmare. It could take months to get Lily back. Catherine swore under her breath. We need to accelerate. I'm calling the judge tonight. And I'm calling the police. The next 18 hours were a blur of phone calls, emergency motions, and legal maneuvering. Catherine worked through the night, pulling every string she had. I sat by my phone watching the clock, praying that Barbara wouldn't move before we were ready. At 4:47 p.m. on Thursday, Catherine called. "We got it. Emergency protective order, temporary custody to Alice effective immediately." Her voice was triumphant but tense. "The judge also granted a law enforcement assist. Claire, we can go get them right now." "I'm already in my car." I met Catherine and 2 police officers outside Barbara Crawford's house at 5:30 p.m. The sun was setting behind the manicured hedges, casting long shadows across the perfect lawn. "Mrs. Mitchell," one of the officers said, "let us do the talking. This could get complicated." "I understand." We walked up the driveway. Catherine rang the doorbell. Barbara Crawford opened the door. She was dressed impeccably as always, cream-colored blouse, pearl earrings, not a hair out of place. But her eyes, when she saw the police officers, went wide with shock. "What is this? What's going on, Mrs. Crawford?" Catherine stepped forward, holding out the court documents. "I'm Catherine Park, attorney for Alice Mitchell Crawford. I have here an emergency protective order from the Los Angeles County Superior Court granting my client immediate temporary custody of her daughter, Lily Crawford. We're here to execute that order." "This is ridiculous." Barbara's voice rose. "You can't just barge into my home." "Ma'am," the officer said firmly, "we have a court order and authorization to ensure the safe transfer of the minor child. Please step aside." "William!" Barbara screamed into the house. "William!" William appeared behind his mother, his face pale. He looked at the police officers, at Catherine, at the legal documents, and then his eyes found me. "Mrs. Mitchell," he said weakly, "I don't understand what's happening." "Yes, you do." I stepped forward, my voice steady, despite the rage burning in my chest. "You understand perfectly. You've been stealing from my daughter for months, forging her signature, taking her money to pay your gambling debts, and your mother has been keeping her prisoner in your garage while she builds a case to take Lily away forever." Barbara's face twisted with fury. "That's slander I'll sue you for." "You'll sue no one." Catherine cut her off. "We have evidence of forged documents, financial fraud, and coercive control. We also have a very interesting document, a forged last will and testament in Alice's name prepared without her knowledge or consent. Would you like to explain to these officers why you have a will ready for a woman you claim is perfectly fine?" The color drained from Barbara's face. I have no idea what you're talking about." "Then you won't mind if the district attorney takes a look." The garage door opened. Alice stumbled out, still in her Save Mart uniform, her eyes wild with confusion and hope. "Mom, what's happening?" "It's over, sweetheart." I opened my arms and she ran into them. "It's over. We're taking you and Lily home." "Lily," Alice pulled back, looking frantically toward the house. "Where's Lily?" "I'll get her." The second officer moved toward the door. "Ma'am, where is the child?" Barbara didn't answer. She stood frozen, her perfectly manicured hands clenched at her sides. William broke. "She's upstairs," he said quietly, not meeting his mother's eyes. "Second door on the left. Her room." "William," Barbara hissed. "What are you doing?" But William just shook his head. He looked exhausted, defeated. "It's over, Mom. It's been over for a while. We just didn't want to admit it." 2 minutes later, the officer came back down the stairs, carrying Lily. My granddaughter, 4 years old, curly brown hair, clutching a stuffed rabbit, looked around at all the adults with wide, frightened eyes. Then she saw Alice. "Mommy!" Alice ran forward and grabbed her daughter, holding her so tight I thought they might fuse together. Lily buried her face in her mother's neck, sobbing. "Mommy, don't leave again. Please don't leave." "Never." Alice was crying too, tears streaming down her face. "Mommy's never leaving you again. I promise, I promise." I turned to Barbara Crawford. She stood in her doorway, perfectly dressed, perfectly groomed, and utterly destroyed. Her scheme had crumbled. Her control was gone, and the granddaughter she'd tried to steal was walking away in her mother's arms. "This isn't over," Barbara said, her voice shaking with rage. "I'll fight this. I have lawyers. I have resources. You think you've won, but Mrs. Crawford." I stepped close to her, close enough to see the fear beneath her fury. "I was a fraud attorney for 33 years. I have exposed criminals far smarter and far more dangerous than you. And right now I have enough evidence to put you and your son in prison for forgery, fraud, and conspiracy." I leaned even closer. "If you ever come near my daughter or my granddaughter again, I won't just destroy you in court. I will make it my life's mission to ensure you spend your remaining years in a cell. Do you understand me?" Barbara said nothing, but I saw the answer in her eyes. She understood. I turned and walked away toward the car where Alice sat in the back seat, Lily curled in her lap. My daughter looked up at me through the window, tears still wet on her cheeks. "Thank you," she mouthed. I nodded. We had won the first battle, but the war wasn't over yet. Alice wore the only professional outfit she still owned, a black dress that hung loose on her frame, a reminder of everything she'd lost. Catherine had told her not to alter it. "Let the judge see what they did to you," she'd said. "Sometimes the truth speaks louder than words." I sat in the front row directly behind my daughter. My hands were folded in my lap, but inside my heart was racing. This wasn't a criminal trial, not yet. The district attorney was still reviewing the evidence of forgery and fraud. Today was about custody, property, and divorce. Today was about getting Alice's life back. Barbara Crawford sat on the opposite side of the courtroom, her spine rigid, her face a mask of cold composure. She wore a designer suit and diamond earrings, the picture of wealth and respectability. Her attorney, Thomas Reed, shuffled papers beside her with the confidence of a man who'd never lost a case he truly wanted to win. William sat at the end of their table as far from his mother as possible. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. His suit was wrinkled. His eyes were hollow. I'd heard through Catherine that William had checked himself into a gambling addiction treatment program the day after we took Lily. 90 days inpatient. He'd left after only 1 week, claiming he needed to be present for the court proceedings. I didn't know what to make of that. I didn't know what to make of him at all anymore. Judge Eleanor Reeves entered the courtroom, and we all rose. She was 60 years old, silver-haired, known throughout the legal community as fair but merciless when it came to people who tried to manipulate her court. "Be seated," she said, settling into her chair. "We're here today for the matter of Crawford versus Crawford. I've reviewed the preliminary filings and the emergency orders already in place. Ms. Park, you may proceed." Catherine stood. "Thank you, Your Honor. We intend to demonstrate that my client, Alice Mitchell Crawford, has been the victim of systematic financial abuse, coercive control, and fraud perpetrated by her husband, William Crawford, and his mother, Barbara Crawford. We will present evidence of forged legal documents, stolen marital assets, and deliberate parental alienation." Thomas Reed was on his feet before Catherine finished. "Your Honor, these are serious allegations with no credible foundation. My clients are a loving family who—" "Mr. Reed," Judge Reeves held up a hand. "You'll have your turn. Sit down." Reed sat. Barbara's jaw tightened almost imperceptibly. Catherine presented our case methodically, piece by piece. First, the property records. The original deed showing Alice's name. The amended deed with the forged signature. The handwriting expert's report confirming the forgery. Second, the financial records. Alice's paychecks deposited into an account she couldn't access. The rental income from the Maple Street house, $19,000 over 5 months, flowing into William's personal account. The $20 a week Barbara allowed Alice for expenses. Third, the living conditions. Photographs of the garage where Alice slept. The air mattress. The space heater. Video footage of Alice eating alone while the main house blazed with light. Fourth, the recordings. Barbara telling 4-year-old Lily that her mother didn't love her anymore. Barbara searching through Alice's belongings and confiscating the $40 she'd hidden. Judge Reeves watched everything in silence, but I saw her expression harden with each piece of evidence. I saw her eyes flick toward Barbara with growing contempt. Finally, Catherine presented the last document. "Your Honor, this is a last will and testament purportedly signed by my client 3 months ago. It leaves all of Alice's assets to William Crawford in the event of her death." Catherine paused. "My client did not sign this document. She had no knowledge of its existence until our investigation uncovered it. Handwriting analysis confirms the signature is forged the same hand that forged the property deed." The courtroom went silent. Judge Reeves leaned forward. "Ms. Park, are you suggesting that the respondents created a fraudulent will for your client without her knowledge?" "Yes, Your Honor, and we believe the implications of that document speak for themselves." Reed jumped up again. "This is outrageous speculation. There's no evidence my client's—" "Mr. Reed." Judge Reeves' voice could have frozen water. "I've warned you once. Interrupt again and I'll hold you in contempt." She turned to Barbara. "Mrs. Crawford, can you explain why this document was found in your home?" Barbara's composure cracked just slightly. I have no idea how it got there. Someone must have planted it. That woman, she pointed at me, she's been trying to destroy our family from the beginning. I see. Judge Reeves made a note. Mr. Reed, call your first witness. Reed called Barbara to the stand. She performed beautifully the concerned mother-in-law, the devoted grandmother, the victim of a vindictive ex-in-law. She claimed Alice had chosen to live in the garage. She claimed Alice had willingly signed over her financial accounts. She claimed everything had been done out of love and concern for Lily's welfare. Catherine's cross-examination was surgical. Mrs. Crawford, you stated that Alice chose to live in your garage. Is that correct? Yes. She wanted her own space. Her own space, in a cement garage, with an air mattress and a space heater, while her 4-year-old daughter slept in a bedroom upstairs. She could have come inside any time she wanted. Could she? We have video footage of you telling Alice she was not allowed in the main house after 8 p.m. Would you like me to play it for the court? Barbara's face went pale. That was taken out of context. I see. Let me ask you about the forged deed. Your son William filed an amended property deed removing Alice's name. Did you know about this? I had nothing to do with that. Nothing, even though the document was notarized at a notary office 2 blocks from your home. Even though the witness signature belongs to your housekeeper, Rosa Martinez. Barbara's mouth opened then closed. Mrs. Crawford, let me be direct. Did you instruct your son to forge his wife's signature in order to steal her share of their marital home? Absolutely not. Did you create a false dossier documenting fabricated instances of Alice being an unfit mother? Those were real observations. Did you forge a last will and testament in Alice's name, leaving everything to your son in anticipation of something happening to her? That's insane. I would never, Your Honor. A new voice cut through the courtroom. Everyone turned. William Crawford was standing. Your Honor, I need to say something. Reed grabbed his arm. William, sit down. Don't say anything. But William shook him off. His face was ashen, but his voice was steady. I want to testify. Against my mother. The courtroom erupted. Judge Reeves banged her gavel. Order, order in this court. She fixed William with a hard stare. Mr. Crawford, do you understand what you're saying? You're asking to testify against your co-respondent. This could have serious legal implications for you. I understand. William's voice cracked. But I can't do this anymore. I can't keep lying. Barbara grabbed his arm. William, don't you dare. Mom, stop. He pulled away from her. It's over. It's been over. And I'm tired of pretending. Judge Reeves nodded slowly. Very well. Mr. Crawford, take the stand. What followed was the most extraordinary testimony I'd ever witnessed in a courtroom. William confessed everything. The gambling addiction that had consumed him for 3 years. The $80,000 in debt that he couldn't pay. The day his mother discovered his secret and offered him a deal she would pay his debts, but only if he gave her control over his family's finances. Mom said Alice was the problem. William said, his voice hollow. She said Alice was too independent, too stubborn. She said if we could just manage her, everything would be fine. And the forged documents, Catherine asked gently. The deed, the will. Mom did those, or had them done. I didn't know about the will until the police came. His hands were shaking. I swear to God I didn't know about the will. When I saw it, I realized what she was planning. And I couldn't. He broke down. I loved Alice, he said through his tears. I still love her. I was weak and I was stupid and I let my mother turn me into a monster. But I never wanted her dead. I never wanted any of this. He looked across the courtroom at Alice. I'm sorry, he said. I know it doesn't mean anything. I know I can never make this right, but I'm sorry. Alice didn't respond. She just sat there, tears streaming silently down her face. Judge Reeves adjourned for 30 minutes. When she returned, her face was stone. I've heard enough, she said. In 30 years on the bench, I have rarely seen such a clear case of deliberate systematic abuse. Mrs. Crawford, you have orchestrated a campaign of financial exploitation, emotional manipulation, and fraud against your daughter-in-law. You have alienated a child from her mother. You have forged legal documents. And you have created evidence suggesting you were preparing for your daughter-in-law's death. Barbara was pale as chalk. My ruling is as follows. Full legal and physical custody of Lily Crawford is awarded to Alice Mitchell Crawford effective immediately. William Crawford is granted supervised visitation twice monthly contingent on completion of a gambling addiction treatment program and parenting classes. She turned to Barbara. Mrs. Crawford, you are hereby prohibited from any contact with Alice Mitchell Crawford or Lily Crawford for a period of 5 years. Any violation will result in immediate arrest. Barbara stood up. You can't do this. I have rights. Lily is my granddaughter. You have the right to appeal. I suggest you exercise it quietly. Judge Reeves's voice was ice. Furthermore, I am referring all evidence of forgery, fraud, and conspiracy to the district attorney's office for criminal prosecution. Both of you. She banged her gavel. Court is adjourned. 6 months later, I helped hang streamers in the backyard of the house on Maple Street. The oak tree was full of summer leaves. A new swing hung from its strongest branch. Lily had picked it out herself. Pink ropes, white seat, perfect for a 5-year-old who loved to fly. Alice came out of the house carrying a birthday cake. Chocolate with strawberry frosting, Lily's favorite. Mom, can you help me with the candles? I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. She'd gained back the weight she'd lost. Her hair was shiny again, her eyes bright. She'd returned to nursing not at Cedars-Sinai, but at a community clinic nearby. The hours were better, the pay was less, but she was home every night to tuck Lily into bed. You look beautiful, I said. She smiled a real smile, one that reached her eyes. I feel beautiful, for the first time in a long time. The party was small. A few children from Lily's kindergarten class. Some neighbors. Margaret Thompson came and David Wilson. Catherine Park sent flowers. William came too. He'd completed his 90-day treatment program. He had a new job at a small accounting firm in San Diego, entry level, a fraction of what he used to make. He drove a used Honda now instead of Alice's Highlander. He stood at the edge of the party watching Lily play, not quite part of things, but not unwelcome either. When Lily saw him, she ran over and hugged his legs. Daddy, did you see my new swing? I did, sweetheart. It's beautiful. Gamma Claire got it for me. Push me later. If your mom says it's okay. Lily looked at Alice. Alice hesitated, then nodded. After cake, she said. William's eyes met mine across the yard. He nodded once, a small acknowledgement. I nodded back. I would never forgive him for what he'd done to my daughter. But he was Lily's father, and he was genuinely trying to become someone worthy of that title. Barbara was serving 18 months in a minimum security facility. Fraud, forgery, conspiracy. She'd be out in a year with good behavior. Thomas Reed had tried every appeal, every motion, every legal trick in the book. None of them worked. As the sun set and the children went home, I sat on the new swing with Lily in my lap. Gamma Tiao. Yes, sweetheart. Why did Grandma Barbara have to go away? I thought carefully about my answer. Because she made some very bad choices, honey. She hurt your mommy, and when you hurt people, there are consequences. Lily considered this. Is Mommy okay now? I looked across the yard at Alice, who was laughing at something one of the neighbors had said. She looked healthy, happy, whole. Yes, baby, Mommy is okay now. Because you helped her. I helped a little, but your mommy is very strong. She saved herself. Lily snuggled closer. I love you, Gamma. I love you too, sweetheart, more than all the stars in the sky. Later that night, after everyone had gone home and Lily was asleep in her princess bed, Alice called me. Mom. Yes, honey. Thank you. Her voice was thick with emotion. For everything. For believing me. For fighting for me. For not giving up. That's what mothers do, I said. We fight for our children. Always. I know, she paused. I'm going to be that kind of mother too. For Lily. No matter what. You already are, sweetheart. You already are. I hung up and sat in the darkness of my living room looking at Robert's photograph. We did it, I told him. Our girl is safe. Our granddaughter is happy. And that woman will never hurt them again. The photograph didn't answer, but I could have sworn I saw Robert smile. Family isn't just about blood. It's about showing up when someone needs you. It's about fighting for each other when the world tries to tear you apart. It's about standing in the gap when someone you love can't stand for themselves. Barbara Crawford forgot that. She thought power and control were the same as love. She was wrong. And my daughter, my brave, beautiful, resilient daughter, had proven it.